Hello, everybody. Welcome to NorthStar community. It's so great to be here. Recording out of my office today, and hope you're all having a good week. And again, I always make sure I make my point here that if you're watching me right now, I assume you're in some form of recovery. And so, what we're talking about today is purpose. We talked about last week. So again, how we've set this up is we started with hope, and then we went to paradigm shift, and then we've been talking about actual purpose. Finding meaning and joy in our life really is our purpose. And as we discuss in our meetings at North Star, it's so important to realize that we're not just necessarily talking about what you do for a living. Certainly, if you can find ways to do your job, make your job fit your purpose, that's a pretty good combo. But you certainly don't have to be. I mean, I know one person who is a neuroscientist but also makes knives, and he really loves doing both, and he really feels purpose in that. So, those are examples of other people who have found ways to make their purpose be something besides just their job. I know people who work one place and one of their passions is coaching running or coaching football or things like that. Those are important. Or I know people who teach music or, they teach somewhere else besides what they do for a living. So lots of examples out there. So I'm going to read Psalms 89 to you. A lot of Psalms is written by David. Um, I pretty sure David's writing all this. Looks like it anyway. But let me read it. See, this is Psalms 89. Your love, God, is my song, and I'll sing it. I'm forever telling everyone how faithful you are. I'll never quit telling the story of your love, how you built the cosmos and guaranteed everything in it. Your love has always been our life's foundation. Your fidelity has been the roof over our world. You once said, I joined forces with my chosen leader. I pledged my word to my servant David, saying, everyone descending from you is guaranteed life. I'll make your rule as solid and lasting as a rock. So we sort of can glean from this that God is here, God is with us, and He will protect us. And so it's even more reason for us to really think about purpose. But then let's read Psalms 88. And for you guys that have been around me, some you know that David's one of my favorite biblical characters because he's so us. Maybe at higher levels, but he's us. He's the greatest king probably of all time, but he also made terrible decisions, hurt many people, killed people, was a traitor in some ways, terrible father in many ways, terrible husband, all those things, but yet he was a man after God's own heart. So it's just, David's such a complex character, so rich and full of both goodness and flaws and dysfunction, and maybe that's why we like him so much. So I kid you not, this is Psalms 88 I'm about to read to you. So I just read Psalms 89, now I'm going to read you Psalms 88. God, you're my last chance of the day. I spend the night on my knees before you. Put me on your salvation agenda. Take notes on the trouble I'm in. I've had my fill of trouble. I'm camped on the edge of hell. I'm written off as a lost cause, one more statistic, a hopeless case. Abandoned is already dead, one more body in a stack of corpses. And not so much as a gravestone, I'm a black hole in oblivion. You've dropped me in a bottomless pit, sunk me in a pitch black abyss. I'm battered senseless by your rage, relentlessly pounded by your waves of anger. You turned my friends against me, made me horrible to them. I'm caught in a maze and can't find my way out, blinded by tears of pain and frustration. I kid you not, that's Psalms 88. I read you Psalms 89 right before that. So, are we going to live our life Psalm 89, or are we going to live our Psalms 88? Psalms 89, Psalms 88. Now, the reality is we do both. But the fact is, if we can get purpose in our life, we can recover better. We can recover, I think, faster. We can start living our life again. Now, I always mess this quote up, so I'm going to mess it up again, but you'll get my point. In The Outlaw Josie Wales, which is one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies from the 70s, he talks in there, his character is talking to a bounty hunter who's come to try to arrest or kill Josie Wales who was a formidable foe in this, if you haven't ever seen a movie. And so the bounty hunter steps out, and Clint Eastwood's character, Josie Wales, says, dying ain't no way to make a living. And so for us, I think we can change that to say, surviving ain't no way to live. We can, when we have so many reasons to be in survival land. We have so much from our past that's broken. We've been betrayed by people. Some of us have been betrayed by people who should have been our safest people in our lives. We've made mistakes. We've harmed people. We've done so many things to hurt our lives because of addiction. It's kind of hard for us to say, you're right. I need to get a purpose. I need to find joy and meaning in my life. But surviving isn't a way to go, and you don't have to do it. God created us much bigger than just to survive. And the other thing you have to remember is, if you can get yourself on the right road to recovery, then maybe, just maybe, you'll get the chance to help someone else who's in your shoes. Never too soon to quit, never too soon to work on the awareness in your life to understand what drove you to addiction, and it's never too late to create a purpose. We're never too old, we're never too dumb, we're never too bad to find purpose in our life. Purpose that is our values, purpose that reflects what we believe is good in our lives. Because so many of us are such good people, but addiction has really harmed us, and it's hurt us in so many ways. And again, when we talk about addiction, we're not talking about just substances. We're talking about those compulsive behaviors, and we're talking about our addiction to people. None of it works. So this is another way to get past that, is to trust enough, connect enough with others who are in the recovery road that can help you find your recovery and your purpose in your life. So, the great quote I use all the time from a professor I had is, I don't care about your childhood, I just care about how your childhood affects you today. Our paradigm is, for many of us, that we're bad, we're broken, we're not talented, all those kind of things. And our PTSD, our CPTSD, our trauma, our abandonment, however you want to label it, has done so much damage to us. The problem with trauma is it takes away our foundation. It's like it removes it. So we're kind of a house kind of teetering on a very broken foundation, and not really true, but that's how we see things. We carry a lot of shame with us, and shame tells us not to do well. Shame tells us to kind of be mediocre. Don't take big risks or go out and live recklessly. Either way, it doesn't work well. It tells us to think badly of ourselves, and it tells us to always see ourselves as never enough and very mediocre. So, passionate purpose is going to address some of that, but it's going to make us wildly uncomfortable. And we just have to realize that we're all created with special talents and skills. Some people have way more interest and talent in some areas than others. Some of us are wildly good at some things and pretty bad at other things. I mean, you could, about yourself. So I love the quote, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So I hope your paradigm shift is going from I'm mediocre, I don't deserve to do well, I'm never enough, to shifting over to saying, I am a genius at some things. I'm very good at some things. And maybe that is our our map to tell us what to do. So toxic shame is a powerful tool in our lives for many of us in addiction. And we have to overcome that in some way. And again, so I keep telling you, we got to figure out ways to develop a passionate purpose. So I hope that you will believe that you're a genius at something or something. Some you're quite talented. But you know what? What we find when we talk about purpose in support groups, we start to realize how difficult it is to really live our purpose. Remember, habitual behavior to avoid pain. I spend my time on the computer with social media or on my phone. I'm spending way too much time and energy there. I get myself involved in broken, bad, with other broken, toxic people. I lose my, I get using too many substances. I just can't get myself to do anything else. You know why? Because it's safe. We don't have to take those risks because of how we believe ourselves, how our toxic shame tells us we're not worthy to do well. So I hope so remember we talk about hope and we talk about paradigm shift. So I hope what we can do here is start to create some hope in you that you are a genius and you can change your paradigm from being mediocre to finding something that gives you meaning and joy. Now, of course, the problem is that for many of us, then we start going down perfection land. That is not the case. That is not what we're saying here. You do not have to be perfect to be really good at something. In fact, you will fail in 2023 at some levels. And if you don't, then you're not living your life freely and fully enough. But I understand why this this discussion is so difficult. Like last night in our support group, you could just see there's reasons why we don't do our purpose. I am empathetic with why we don't do it. I've had my time in my life where I didn't believe in myself and my toxic shame was too high, and I just could not land on what my purpose is or was. However you look at it, I feel pretty fortunate now. You know, I'm older now, and it took me a long time to get there. And so one of my hopes is that maybe some of you can find that purpose sooner in your life and actually go after it. But it is a threat. I understand that. You know, the things you think about. If I were to really live my purpose, would it change how I live? Would it change my whole life? Would I have to move? Would I have to quit my job? Would I have to get another job? Would I have to change who's in my life? I mean, there's so many big questions here. It's totally understandable why it's easier in the short run to survive. But the problem is that's painful too. And you're not doing cartwheels over your life right now. You wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. There's things in your life that's bothering you, it's driving you crazy, and you're frustrated. And so hang in there. Hang in there. Finding your purpose, what gives you meaning, what gives you joy, takes time. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Well, some it does, but most of us it doesn't. It's a process. If you just step back, you know, and just let God into your life, you'll be amazed at some of the things that happen. So it takes time. You're going to make mistakes. Here's some questions for you that may help you think about finding your genius. What enlivens you? What are things that just really you look forward? Say tomorrow you're going to be doing something, and you're really excited about it. You're looking forward to it. What feels like pure fun, even if it's hard. You know, sometimes hard, difficult things are pretty fun. And you know, I throw in the word satisfaction too. In some ways, I look way more for satisfaction than I do fun and for me. I've had a good day when I have done some things that were challenging, a little bit difficult, but I hung in there with it, and I feel a lot of satisfaction about that. So that's one more thing. Also, what are the preconceived notions you carry around with you? You know, we talk about parent tapes some. The problem with parent tapes are we remember and we hear the negative parent tapes. We don't hear the good ones. We don't remember when maybe one of our parents told us they were proud of us or you could tell they were. What we remember is the criticism or the ongoing abuse and trauma we went through. The point is that we have to figure out ways to get past that. And one last thing for you to think about for your meaningful purpose would be what are you just passionate about? Will you get started doing it? It can be 4 hours later and you're like, wow, where'd all the time go? That is another way for you to think about it. So the question for us too is, what's your true self? We have wounded self on this side. We have true self on this side. Wounded self basic premise is you're not lovable and worthy as you are. You're inherently flawed. There's lots of problems with you. You just don't get it. You're not very smart. Whatever it is you say to yourself. Well, the problem with that is you don't see yourself as worthy. So then you don't know how to set boundaries with yourself. You don't know how to set boundaries with people. And then you get hurt a lot. And then you start to make decisions like everybody's going to hurt you. Everybody out there is a problem. And then the problem is our addictions, our addictive thinking becomes our Lord and our Master and our God. We don't want that. But a lot of us hang around that area. On the other side of the continuum is true self. True self says, I am worthy, I am lovable, I am valuable, I do have genius, I do have flaws, all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, I'm a lovable person who's worthy and who deserves to live my life with purpose and meaning and satisfaction and joy. Because I have that belief about myself, I don't have to be perfect. I can make mistakes, but I continue to drive and grow and get better at the things I want to. I trust I can connect with healthy people. And then because I connect with healthier people, I can trust them more. I'm better at setting boundaries. I can say no when I need to. I can ask for help, all those things. And because of that, then people can help me. Other people can help me if I tell them what I need. And if we get healthier, we're okay to ask people for help. And then hopefully our Lord is our God and Savior, and who we trust to make our lives whole. So nobody's one or the other. But a lot of us, we spend way more time on wounded self than we do true self. And the problem with wounded self and true self is that it's our inner critic talks to us all the time if we're not careful. And it really, I like the one guy makes the analogy that our inner critic or our parent tapes, they're like the whir of the air conditioner. You don't really hear a fan running, not often. Sometimes you hear the fan running, but most of the time you don't. That's the way we are with our inner critic. It just is there talking to us, reminding us of all of our flaws and how mediocre we are and how we don't do the right things and blah, 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 blah. But if we become aware at least that they're happening, we have a better chance at addressing them. And maybe we can just move over a little bit to true self and actually having a life of connection, meaning, purpose, and joy. So here's some things that jump in there with us when our thinking. How often have we told ourselves that we need to perform well to get someone's approval? Maybe been a coach, a teacher, a parent, whatever. We may have had a lot of that. It's easy to do. I mean, we all need validation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But if our whole life is built around what we're going to do, will we either validate or invalidate ourselves with someone, we're going to live a hard life. How often do we define our self-worth by our performance as opposed to the process of getting to the performance? Most of the time, if we're wise about this, we know that the process is what gets us to where we want to be. So a lot of times when we get focused on outcomes, we forget it's the process that gets us there. Is our motivation to do well coming from an inner self of knowledge and awareness and hopefully some true self, or is it this need for validation? Is it this need to get people to tell you that you're doing right, or look for people to tell you you're doing wrong? Either way. Because what we have to realize is when wounded self gets in charge, you have to understand with yourself. Wounded self actually believes it's helping you. It's keeping you safe. Wounded self says, we got to play it safe. Don't take risks. Don't get yourself falling in love with people. Don't get close to people. Don't expect a lot out of life, because if you do, you're going to be hurt. Let's play it safe. You've been hurt a lot in your life. You've made a lot of mistakes. You've done a lot of dumb things. Because of that, let's just play it safe. That's where wounded self is so destructive. And the problem is it actually thinks it's helping you. It thinks it's helping you stay safe. Well, staying safe by itself is good, and we definitely need safety. We can't get past trauma or abandonment if we don't have safety. But the problem is, if we live our life like that, we'll never, ever get a sense of meaning. If we don't have a sense of meaning, it makes recovery much harder, and it makes stuff like relapse much more attractive. So what we have to do is real fast is here, we have to see failure is an option. If you don't fail in some way this year, you're not living your life. Just remember that. And it's so hard to live with that. And trust me, nobody likes failure. But you really aren't going to get where you need to if you're not willing to take risks. You know, the problem with the risks are, that's why they call them risks. There's lots of opportunities to fail in it. I know some people have high risk, high reward. You don't need that. You can be moderate with your risk taking, but you do need to take some risks to get where you need to. So when we think about it this way. Our true self living is we are unique and a magnificent expression of God. When we truly express ourselves through our passions and purpose, life gets way better. It gives us more opportunity to experience God's love and purposes for our lives, and we'll be able to trust God more and make healthier decisions. All pretty good stuff, huh? So, moving forward, hopefully this week, start thinking about this a little bit. When you don't define yourself by results, you can take more risks. When you are doing what you want to be doing, living with purpose, you can't wait to be loving, available, and joyful. You need to do it today. You need to get started on this. And when we become more engaged in the process of creation and expression and unconcerned with outcome, life gets way easier. So think about some things here that that will, what we're after is a rich, full, meaningful life, full of sobriety, love, connection, purpose, all those things, joy, satisfaction, whatever word you need. So, break these into some categories. What is it spiritually that would say you have a rich, full, meaningful life? What about relationships? How would I know that you're in the right direction with what I would see with the relationships you're in? Your jobs. What are you doing in your job? Are you doing it well, or is it a stressor for you? Is it a great thing for you? All those things. What are you doing in recovery? Are you doing the steps that needs to be recovery so that one of your purposes have rich, full, meaningful life? Is you can't have that if you're not recovering. Financial, are you making the right decisions there? Are you able to delay some of your impulses and delay spending for later when it makes more sense? Or you put some money away? All those kind of things. You have to decide that for what you want to do. So I just hope you're getting the point here. I hope you can have enough hope in your life to move forward. I hope you can shift your paradigm from mediocrity, not enough, never enough, to actually seeing that you are a genius at something. You are really good at some things. I don't really see myself as a very good technician, mechanic. I love watching you guys in action. I could sit and watch you guys all day. It's just so cool how you know what to do, you know when to do it, you know what tools you need, all the stuff. I think that's fascinating. But I feel like I'm pretty good at working with people, reading people, and one of my joys is being a catalyst, that I'm there to help you get better at what you do. I find a lot of joy in seeing you successful. So I'm pretty fortunate. I'm living my purpose in many ways. There's certainly other things I could be doing, certainly things I want to get better at, all those kind of things. But step back. I hope you can step back with hope, with the paradigm shift of saying, you know what? I am worthy. I am lovable. I can live my life. Let's live it like Psalms 89, not Psalms 88. We're going to have our down times. We're going to have our tough times. We're going to have times when we don't think we can make it. All those things. We all have those. But if we have purpose, sometimes that helps us get through those moments. So we get to Psalms 89 where we're going, yeah, God, this is cool. Life's good. We can have some of that at least. So we meet. So just to finish this up today. So we meet on Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30 here at Walnut Grove Baptist Church on 7046 Cold Harbor Road in Mechanicsville, Virginia. We also meet at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday mornings, and we also have an online service most Sundays at 11:15. So you're invited to all those. We have childcare on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sunday morning at 9. So if you got kids, don't let that be a reason. Plus, I tell you, our kids that come here, they really enjoy it. They like coming. We have several girls who are high school, very good kids. They're all really good, and they love seeing your kids. So don't let that be an issue. And also, we feed you on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you do not need to eat before you come. Last night we had jambalaya. We've had all sorts of things. We've had pot roast. So it really is good. And you're going to leave here full if you want to. So you don't have to go home cook if you don't want to. You can bring your kids. They'll be taken care of. They'll be safe. and you'll be in a very safe and secure support group that we're just here for you to help you, find your purpose, help you recover, help you move to have that rich, full, meaningful life connected to God, to other people, and to yourself. So we always close our prayer of serenity. Our meeting with prayer of serenity, and so let me do that now. Let's pray. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. Taking, as Jesus did, the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that Jesus will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can email me at csimpson@wgva.church. Love to hear from you, and I hope you're doing well. Have a great week, and look forward to us continuing our discussion about purpose. Thank you.